So welcome to this SOFA Summit session on why web trading is essential and what are your options with Business Central. My name's Wasim. I'm one of the lead consultants here at Technology Management. So it's my responsibility normally to get given a project and then fulfill it from start to finish with you to kind of see you to implement Business Central and whatever applications or modifications you require to your system. I help you see through that process from start to finish. Okay, so let's do some housekeeping before we get started. So can everyone hear me? So I've got Sam on the call as well, who's going to help me just to make sure, if there's any issues, she can help you out. So if you've got any problems, just leave a little message in the chat and she can quickly respond and help you out. Next is everything clear? Can you see my screen? If you can't, again, message Sam and she'll be able to help you out. Next is just so you're aware that the session is going to last around about 30 minutes. And as part of that, we are going to then have a little quick Q&A session at the end. I am working from home. I actually have 3 boys, so if there is any loud noises or anything else, I do apologise, but they should be napping right now. But let's see how we go. I will try and keep them at bay if I can, though. So what are we going to cover in today's session? So we're going to first talk about, well, what is web trading? So what do we actually mean by that term? Why is it essential? Especially in the current situation of COVID-19 and the current lockdown that we have in place in the UK and obviously globally as well in most countries, why is it now really essential? And when you're actually looking to start something like web trading, where do you start? Obviously the first thing is Google it, but what does that actually mean to you as an end user? From your point of things, what does that actually mean, and what does it give you? And then I'll go into talk about, well, you might have Googled it, you might have found some options, but then which one of those options can we actually use with Business Central to make life a bit easier for your business to manage that web trading that you're going to start to do. I'll then do a demonstration of one of the options where I kind of take you through how you connect to one of these platforms and then show you how you can actually quickly start to set it up using data within Business Central so that you can quickly start to see how easy this actually is. It's not, there's no dark art here. It's actually quite a simple process. After a few clicks, you can quite quickly get something like your set of items from Business Central into one of these platforms. Once that demo is done, we'll then jump into a Q&A session. So that's clear for everyone. So as I said, first thing is, what is web trading? What do we mean by this term? I'm really, as I said in the slide there in the title, it just means also known as e-commerce. So essentially, you've got a storefront. Customers log on to that storefront, they can then order products from you, and that's using the internet to do that. So we've got to look at where we are today in the current world and what's going on. We've got the likes of Amazon. They haven't got any physical shops. I know that's something that they've been doing, but because they've got an online presence only, they right now are seeing a surge in sales and people actively going to their website to look for things to kind of fulfill some of the things that they want to do at home. And the reason they can do that is because Amazon has this online presence of e-commerce, which people can quite easily access. So yeah, essentially it's e-commerce and it's online store using the internet and where people can buy your goods or services, whatever it is you sell, that's on there to sell. So why is it essential, and especially since COVID-19? And there's quite a lot of points on here, so I'll try and go through them quickly. So I think the first one, and probably one of the most important ones, is to stay competitive. So you got to think about right now is since the lockdown happened, we've seen a lot of businesses go into administration, a lot of businesses having to being forced to close. So their order books have kind of fallen off a cliff. I was reading a news article yesterday on BBC News about Primark. They had a very physical, very much so physical presence out in the market, and their orders in a month, their revenue was, sales was 650 million a month. That's nothing now because all of their stores are closed, all their staff is at home, and they don't actually have an online presence where you can go and place orders and get their stock. So that's obviously a good example where they're not staying competitive. So why this is essential is because, well, if you've got a store, someone can still, regardless of if you shop physically, you can still have a store online. People can go and see it, and they can see your products, they can see your prices and the different services that you offer. So, and especially in the day and age that we're in today, everyone's got a phone, everyone's got a laptop, which kind of brings me on to some of the next points is, well, you're going to be always accessible. You're always going to be online 24/7. It's convenient. It's easy to use. Everyone's got a phone, especially now that everyone's locked inside the houses. What is everyone doing? They're probably sat there on their phones, on their computers all day long. I've got kids who play on iPads. They're probably not ordering things, but it's another device where you can connect to the internet and actually look at, let's go to Amazon, let's go to Debenhams or whoever it may be to place your orders. Even the likes of Asda and Tesco, obviously, they're very busy at this moment in time, but it's all about, they're still available. You can still get the products you need. You just don't physically have to go there. So that's probably all the points on the left-hand side in terms of why it's probably essential, especially since COVID-19. But then to the right-hand side, there's actually a couple of things which you can probably think about. And it's not just for COVID-19, but it helps your business grow as well. So one of them is like scalability. A lot of these platforms, the e-commerce platforms, they kind of grow with your business. So if you've got, a requirement to start have sales agents going out to meet customers and take orders on their behalf, a lot of these platforms kind of allow you to do that to scale. If that's not something your business traditionally does, but you want to introduce it, a lot of these platforms have that built in. And there's other things in there as well. Obviously, there's a lot in there. I'm not going to go through it all, but there's those kinds of features and ideas that you can start to do with your business. One thing quite important is analytics. And I don't think a lot of people really realize this, but let's say you log on to Amazon and you look at a particular product. Every interaction that you do on Amazon's website, every little interaction is being logged in terms of how long you spent looking at a particular page, all the clicks that you did, everything, and all that data is being fed back into obviously some kind of system that Amazon has, and that they can then see, this is the behavior of our customers against our store, and then obviously they use that data to adjust the store, adjust their offers, adjust what they present to their customers to stay competitive essentially. And a lot of these e-commerce platforms offer that out the box, so you can quickly start to gain insights about your customers and even potential prospects about how they behave on your store and kind of what are their trends. What are their trends? Are they always interested in a particular set of products, or are they do they have issue with prices and things like that? So you can kind of start to hone in on some of that information and start to use it to your advantage. Next is search engine optimization, and probably brand awareness comes into that. Let's think about, you might have a shop front and it's in one city in the UK. Obviously, for people to come and see that shop, they have to come and visit it physically to know that you're there. Whereas with the use of things like search engine optimization, you can quite quickly use a lot of the features on these online platforms. They might not offer it, but you can start to use it. So this is what it builds into, is that if someone searches for a particular product, your store can be one of the first hit that comes up onto Google, potentially even an advertised store that comes up. And then from that, you're then getting brand awareness. So pretty much straight away, you can be putting your brand and company and products in front of a larger set of customers and prospects. just by buying those search terms off Google to say, you know, someone searches this, then this is where we appear. That's not something we techman do, but it's, you know, something that you can do once you've got these e-commerce platforms up and running. And as the last point says, there's many more. There's many more. You know, as I'm sure you understand with what's going on right now, Amazon, you know, their sales have skyrocketed. Just purely because they are competitive. They have a very big offering. You know, the Prime deliveries and everything else. People are, you know, using that. You know, I'll put my hands up. I probably used it more as well since we are in the current situation. So you know, so you kind of understand now, you know, what it is, why it's essential. So what's the first thing that, you know, you're going to do? Where do you start? And probably the answer is for most customers of ours is, you know, you're going to probably Google it. Now, if you Google, you know, e-commerce platforms for B2C or B2B, you're going to get hit with a lot of results on Google to say, you know, you can do this, and there's all these different companies now. What I've given there, that's a few company logos of just a flavor of what you might see. Some of them you might know if you've already done some research on this. But that's just a flavor. There's many more out there. So obviously you've got to think about, you know, obviously if you're a business, you know, which one is right, which one, you know, does it actually work? Does it connect to Business Central in any way to help automate some of the tasks that you may do? And you know, is it something that you want to invest in long term? But yeah, you know, you get a big list and there's quite a lot to go through. So the purpose of the session today is, you know, we can give you a few options so you can kind of help you make that decision along the way. But let's just say, you know, we didn't do this session and you kind of went ahead and picked an option without you know, this session today. You know, what would life be without a connection to Business Central? You know, what does that actually mean? What does it look like? Well, an example here, very quick, easy example is, well, let's say you've got your store set up on any one of these e-commerce platforms. Your customer places an order. You know, could be a big order, small order, big value, small value, wherever it may be. That order then gets placed into your e-commerce online store. That order that then sits in your online store and stays there. You can log into your online portal and see that order that, you know, Joe Blogs or whoever it may be has placed that order for. From that to then, if you use Business Central to you know, manage your stocks and place your orders that you do for your customers, what that then means is you've then got to actually open that online portal, see all the orders that have come into your store, and then start creating them all manually into Business Central. And it's probably the same for any other ERP or any the system that you are using. So there's a lot of extra work that you've got to do just because you put this online store on, and quite quickly, if you've got this online store, well, you know, the hope and the goal is that you'll get a lot more orders. So then you've got to kind of obviously finding a sustainable way of running your online store and still obviously keeping on top of this administration. So obviously this is where I can now come into some of the options that you can get with Business Central to kind of automate some of those tasks. So the first option, and there's no like preferences here. They are just all different options. So the first one will be Shopify, and the reason I've probably brought it up first is this is the one I'm going to demo. So Shopify is it's a very popular platform. It's very geared towards B2C. It does offer B2B functionality, but I believe it's quite expensive. I've not actually come across anyone that uses the B2B functionality. I think it's very big enterprise organizations, so not obviously a lot of people who use Business Central are big corporate enterprise organizations. But as a product, if you sell to the B2C market, it has quite a lot to offer, and it's quite an easy thing to use, and quite quickly you can get it set up. And one of the things I do actually quite like about it, because I've played around with it a bit, it offers quite an easy way to customize your content. So what I mean by that is how the look and feel of your store, it's kind of like almost, it's not drag and drop, but you can kind of add sections and then say, you know, in this section we have an image, in this section we might show some text and things like that. So it's very, very easy to customize, and it's very intuitive in how it works. So from a user point of view, it's quite a good platform to use. Now, in terms of connecting that to Business Central, you can actually use an application, use an app called Shopify. So Shopify is a third-party application created by a company called Skapta in Europe. I think they're based in Holland, and so it's not a native Shopify application. They've obviously built it as a third party. But what it allows you to do is quickly integrate to Business Central, get your items into Shopify, get your customers into Shopify, or even vice versa, and then quickly start taking orders. And as an order lands into Shopify, that order can then quickly land into Business Central as well. So it's one of those. It's quite quickly you can implement it and get up and running with it. I think we've actually got a customer who they traditionally sold B2B, but they now use it to sell B2C because they used to sell to restaurants and bars, and obviously because they're all closed, they've lost all their customer base during this current time period. So now they're selling B2C via Shopify and Shopify. Next option is Asana. So Asana is probably not something that you'll come across in your Google search. You might do, depending on what terms you search for. But Asana is a bit similar to Shopify in that it offers B2B and B2C functionality. But Asana is it's more of an offering that's catered more for the B2B customer, and Asana themselves have actually built a proprietary application for Business Central. So they're in control of the whole process, so they can actually influence, if you do something in BC, that you can then see that updated in your store in real time. Obviously, there might be a couple of seconds delay, but it's very quick from what I've seen. So for example, you've got an item on your store that you want to sell, you change the price, that price then updates in your store very quickly. Now, because they've catered for the B2B / ERP solutions, they've even comes out with a lot of functionality out of the box for B2B. So the thing I mentioned before about sales agents, Asana actually allows you to do that. So you can set up sales agents in Asana who then go out to meet your customers and then place orders on their behalf. And that's just an example. There's lots more on there, and Asana have a whole raft of information on their website in terms of what the products can do, and there's a lot of information. So when you do embark on a project with Asana or with us, there's a lot of information available to you to get it done. Now, it probably does take a little bit longer to set up than Shopify, but it's still going to be fairly rapid. As long as we've got the right key players in the room as a product, we could get it in fairly quickly, I would say. But yeah, it's a good product, and it's something that I've used on two sites for one customer, and I'm working with them again on another customer right now. Okay. Another option is Magento. So it's not something I've personally used, but I thought it was quite key that this is up there. So Magento, very similar to Shopify and Asana, they all kind of offer a similar kind of thing. The difference here is though with Magento, there's no application, there's nothing there out the box, or no package you can take off the shelf to get it to connect to Business Central. However, we have in the past integrated Business Central to Magento through integrations, through customization, sorry. So what I mean by that is we get our developers involved, they come in, they develop something to make Magento talk to Business Central. And normally it's been a different spin on the same thing when we've done it. And to be honest, that's probably not just for Magento. We could probably do that for a lot of these platforms. So if it's something that you're really keen on going for a particular e-commerce platform, we could do this option. But the downside of doing this, you've got to understand, is that you're going to have a much slower implementation. There's going to be a larger cost of development, and what you're on is a very bespoke solution, so it's very catered towards you. It's not something where it's got a nice team like Asana or Shopify have got their own set of support teams and development teams behind the product, continually updating it and making it better. This would be, something that we put it in, and then it just sits there forever and a day. And then obviously, if you want to, improve things, it's then obviously an additional cost to you every time, because it's just a one-off development that sits there working for you in the background. And again, it offers similar features to Asana and Shopify. And I've said Magento, but it applies to probably a lot of those platforms that you can think about. But these are probably the main three that we've worked with a lot over the past few years in terms of when we talk to customers about e-commerce. So let me dive into a demo. So as I said before, I'm going to demo how you connect to Shopify. It's going to be a very quick demo. I'm going to show you how I can quickly set up an item from Business Central and get it shown in a Shopify store. So I'll come out of this, and I will go into here. So here I've got my Business Central demo environment. This is for a company called Contoso Electronics, which is the kind of demo company that you get. And then what I've also got is I've signed up for a Shopify store, which I've set the user's technology management, and the store's called Sofa Summit. Oh, it's just refreshing. It's probably because I left it open. Oh, okay. Let's get logged in. Okay. Now, I'll talk you through what I did, because obviously there is a little bit of sign up you've got to do, but it's very simple. So in terms of Shopify, due to the current situation, they normally have a 14-day trial. They've actually increased that to 3 months, I believe. So you get to play with this for 3 months without paying for it. But in terms of sign up and getting ready to go, it's literally you enter an email, you choose a password, tell it what your store name is. I think it then opens up another form and then asks you for your name and address and things like that. Once that's filled in, you're pretty much at this screen, which I'm looking at now. And that's how quickly it's up and running. And you can actually see your store. So if I click on this, this is showing me a view of the store. When it loads, and this is what you get out of the box. Obviously, there's a lot of setup you've got to do in terms of what images you want and what text you want to see and what products you want to see. But this is kind of giving you an example of what you can do. But it's all there, ready to go. And in terms of Shopify, there's a lot it offers out of the box. And it's a nice looking website as well, in my opinion. It's nice and minimal, so it's quite appealing as well. When I click on catalog, and these are some just examples, because I haven't set up any products, it kind of gives you a little overview of what it could look like. So let's show you how to get it connected. So in terms of Business Central, what I've actually done is I've installed the Shopify connector. Again, that is a very simple one-click install. You go to App Source, and then you click install, and it goes off and installs it. The next thing you have to do is you have to click on connector, and it loads, and then it opens. Before it opens this up, it actually takes you through this wizard, and this wizard is similar to what I did on Shopify. You just say who you are, what's your business, and then it'll assign you a license, and then you actually get so let's cancel that. So you actually get a license key, and then it actually tells you what are your limitations on your license. So right now, because it's on a free version, I can sync 30 orders and I can connect to one web shop, and that's just what you got to start with. So now to connect my store, I can quickly say Shopify, go to shops. I'm going to say I want to create a new shop in here. And so the first thing is I can give it a name. Call it Summit. If I go into Shopify now, so the next things are kind of, what are your credentials for Shopify? So how does it need to connect? So the first thing it needs the URL, which is that, and then next you have your API key and your password. So if I go into apps, so this is a little bit of setup you got to do, but it's very simple. You just have to come into this private apps area and you create an app. Now it's not creating an app; it's just creating a set of credentials so that you can connect to Shopify. So I'll get these credentials. So copy that. Copy. Okay, it's copied to clipboard now. Okay, that's it. Then I will copy my password, and that's in there. Okay, so I'll just quickly do a little bit of setup here. Okay, it's just running a bit slow on me at the moment. Come on. Okay, I'll leave that. It's not a requirement anyway. So one of the things you can do is you can kind of say how you synchronize your items. You know, do you pull items from Shopify to set them up into Business Central, or do you send them to Shopify? So I'm just going to quickly get this set up so you can see how easy it is. So I'm going to say I want to sync my item images to Shopify. I want to sync my extended texts. I want my attributes to show, and I want my units of measure as a variant if you're using units of measure. I want to track my inventory, and I don't want to allow any negative stock to be sent across. So in terms of setup, literally what I've just there is I can now actually synchronize products to Shopify. But before I do that, I also need to set up a way for me to synchronize my stock. So I actually have to specify. Here I have to bring in my Shopify code, and then I can now specify which locations can I set up stock. Where do I want to see stock for? So blue location, okay? Because I know I've got stock in there, and I'll tick that because it's not disabled. So now what I have to do is I have to go into Navigate and go into Products. Now I can start actually picking which products do I want Shopify to actually add to the store and use. So it actually has this nice little feature where I can say, let's start adding in some items. And I've got an item which is, its unique identifier is number 1000, which, as I'm sure if you've already using Business Central, you know that that's the demo item of the bicycle. Now that's already set up, and as part of that routine, it's already actually sent it across to Shopify because it's got this link. If I go back to my store and click on products, I can now see here's my bicycle in the store. I haven't synced any stock, so I can't see that. I don't see any images just yet because I've not synced that information. But what I can see, it's brought in some of the description of the item. It's brought in the unit of measure, the price, and that's about it at this moment in time. And I think the way the product is built, it's kind of segmented out with some of these synchronizations, so it doesn't put too much of a load on processing. So I can actually now say, well, it's already synced the product because it's there. Let's send some images over as well. It's fine. I'll come back here, refresh this. So we can see now, here's a picture of our bike. And then finally, if I now sync inventory, it should look at my blue location, see what's in stock, and then I should see a value coming into this quantity field here. You can see there's 110 in stock. So what that looks like in the store, so you can see if I open the store, go to catalog, and there's my product ready to go with the price. I can click into it. It's got a description. Obviously, I've only got one unit measure, but if I had multiple, it's there. And quite quickly, someone can literally now add it to the cart or buy it now and actually place that order with you. That's how quickly it is to quickly get that store set up. So that is pretty much what I wanted to show you in terms of the demo. I know that was fairly quick. So thank you, and let's open the session up to any questions. Do we still have anyone on the call?
Hi, Vaz.
Hi, Liam.
Just thanks for the demo. Really good. I always learn something when I watch you do something. That's good.
Okay.
And you know, when you've shown that type of connectivity, I'm assuming the options that the different options you've talked about with Shopify and Asana, that's bright enough or smart enough to know, customers' unique pricing or something along those lines. Is it? It's not just taking a generic RRP.
Yeah. So all that, because it knows it's from the item table, or if you set it up to take it from the sales prices, yes, it will take that. Shopify, I believe, just takes it off the item, but something like Asana can be clever enough to look at your list prices for your set of customers. Definitely.
Nice one. Okay, thank you.